Yo, what is up, guys? James Carter TV here for yet another edition of my 32 teams in 32 days. Today, we are talking about the Minnesota Vikings. This video was supposed to be uploaded yesterday, but I got a little bit behind. I got a day behind. I think I can catch up today by doing the Vikings and the 49ers today. We'll see what happens. But right now, it's the Vikings. And this is a team that is a hit and trendy pick, as Al Michaels said last night on the Sunday Night Football broadcast for the Hall of Fame game. They're a hit and trendy team to pick to win not win a playoff spot, to compete for the playoff, and I get that. But I do have some concerns. And I think it's important that someone can come and validate these concerns and raise these concerns, and that way we can have an appropriate discussion about this, because they're a young team and there's potential here, but there's potential and there's issues that I have. But we're going to talk about the strengths, the weaknesses. I'm going to give you my win-loss prediction, and we'll look at the toughness of the schedule. So let's start with their strengths. Firstly, for me, it's the defensive line. I mean, you have Everson Griffin, who you guys re-signed to a pretty good, decent deal. I think he's going to hopefully start producing more stat-wise. But in terms of playing and being a good run stuffer and being accountable and holding his gap, he's a good player in that right. I'd like to see more sack numbers, but he is a very good player at the defensive end position. He just doesn't produce as much as the big-name guys do, but he's a very good defensive end to have. It's a good thing that they re-signed him. Next to him, you have Linval Joseph, who's been consistent for a number of years now. And then next to him, you have Sharif Floyd, the 2013 draft pick, one of the 3 first-round draft picks the Vikings had in 2013. And he has really come on, and he continues to improve and impress. I already hear that in training camp, he is just blowing them away with his potential and his continued production. I'm sure Mike Zimmer is getting flashbacks of Geno Atkins and the way he developed and the way he turned into the beast that he is today. If they can get anything like that out of Sharif Floyd, then boom. I mean, they have a hell of a player on their hands. And then next to him, that's the question mark. They're starting Brian Robinson right now. Hopefully Scott Crichton, I think that's how you pronounce it, probably I'm wrong on that, or Danielle Hunter out of LSU, the defensive end that they drafted this year. Hopefully, and then Scott Crichton from Oregon State a couple years back. Hopefully one of them can take over that spot, because that's the weak link of this defensive line. Because of those 2 defensive ends, they're not going to get a lot of production. But luckily behind them, here comes the second strength for this team, to me. And then that is their linebacking core. Now this is a little bit more of a projection, because in the middle of this offensive line, you have Audie Cole, who's a good player. But behind him, you have Eric Kendricks, who might even start. And I think he's going to be a hell of a player. And so you have him, and then next to him, you have Anthony Barr, who really impressed as a rookie. Everyone saw the forced fumble play that he had against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And beyond that, he's someone that, even though he's a 4-3 linebacker, he has hella pass rushing skills. I mean, you can make an argument he's the best pass rusher on the team. But he's they have him in the 4-3 linebacker, so he's not asked to do that often. But when he does, he's going to get after a quarterback, and he makes some beast tackles. He'll force some fumbles. He's a playmaker. And we knew that when he came out of UCLA. I wish my team would have drafted him, but whatever. The Vikings got him first. And he's going to prove to be a good linebacker for them. Now, the left side of that linebacking core is where my issue comes. You have Chad Greenway, and behind him you have Gerald Hodges. Now, for some reason, Greenway is still on the team, because I think he should have been gone a long time ago. Yes, he does produce tackles, but he's a liability in coverage. He's a liability in the run game, honestly. He'll make tackles, he'll produce that number, but I think his number of tackles is very misleading to what he really gives you. So I'd love to see Gerald Hodges solidify himself as the starter at that linebacking position. And you go to the corners, they're all right. Xavier Rhodes, I like, okay? That now we're talking. Next to him, though, you have Terrence Newman, who they brought out of Cincinnati. He's been on a downward trend for a number of years now. I'm not sure what you're going to get from him. Next to him, you have Captain Munnerlyn. Same with him. He's been on a little bit of a downward trend lately. He had to hold down that Carolina secondary, so maybe now that he's asked to be a number 2 or a slot, maybe they're just going to throw him in the slot. He'll be more successful, but these are 2 guys that have been kind of in the path in their career, and that's why they went after Trey Waynes, and they drafted Trey Waynes with their first round pick this year, 11th pick overall. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna contribute early? I don't like what I saw in the Hall of Fame game. I don't like what I'm hearing out of training camp. So he doesn't sound like he's gonna produce very well either. Your safeties, though, now we're talking. You have Harrison Smith, who's already an elite free safety at his position. I mean, we're talking about one of the best free safeties in the NFL. Next to him is Robert Blanton, who gets a lot of hate more than he deserves. I think he's a damn good safety to have. So overall, this defense, it does have some soft spots like the Brian Robisons and the Chad Greenways and the Terrence Newmans of the world. But overall, this is a very solid defense, and that's why people like them a lot. The offense is where I have the issue. Now, the obvious strength is a running back. Adrian Peterson returns. Last year, they had Jerick McKinnon, who was just decent and showed potential, but you'd rather have Adrian Peterson behind Teddy Bridgewater. So that's a big improvement there. I mean, hell, Adrian Peterson has the ability to take your whole team to the playoffs like he did Christian Ponder during those days. Mr. Ponder, the game manager for life. I mean, that's what he is. Adrian Peterson has the ability to do that, and then if he's able to produce the way he produced, then, oh God, the Vikings are easily going to the playoffs. You have your quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, showed potential. I do think, and I liked Teddy Bridgewater. He was my number one. Quarterback coming out of the 2014 draft. He was my, I think, number 11 prospect overall, because I wasn't a big fan of those quarterbacks. But he was my number one quarterback prospect in the 2014 NFL draft. I love me some Teddy Bridgewater, but I think we're kind of overrating what he did last season. I mean, he does a good job for what he has. He really doesn't have much around him. He has a good offensive line. Well, the right part of it, the left part is questionable. But let's slow it down. He's still going to have to grow a little bit. It still needs to increase his deep ball accuracy, which wavers very consistently. He needs to solidify his deep ball accuracy. Right now, he's more of a short to intermediate player, and you can be successful with that. But they're going to need to take some shots down the field, and he's not quite accurate enough to do that yet. And that's why they got Mike Wallace, who I'm extremely low on. I think if he's not done, he's really close. I mean, don't believe that he brought down Ryan Tannehill. No. Ryan Tannehill or Mike Wallace brought down... Wait, what am I saying? Don't believe that Ryan Tannehill brought down Mike Wallace. Excuse me. Yeah, Mike Wallace brought down Ryan Tannehill. That's what happened there. I mean, the reason Ryan Tannehill was 9 for 42, because the only thing Mike Wallace could run is a 9 route. So Ryan Tannehill was just like, okay, I'm just going to throw it up there and see what happens. And that's not a good offense to run. Mike Wallace, he's a one-trick pony. He should have stayed in Pittsburgh when he had the chance. I know you guys hated Greg Jennings last year. He would drop balls for you, and you would hate that. You're going to hate this guy. Find you a wide receiver. I thought they should have drafted Devontae Parker, and I think that is a player that would have helped Teddy Bridgewater develop into a better player, because I don't like these wide receivers. Charles Johnson, okay, he's a nice, cute player, but come on, Vikings fans. This is not a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver on a good offense. I mean, come on. This is not a player you want to be your number 2 wide receiver. In a perfect world, he'd be number 3, preferably number 4. If he was in Green Bay, I'm not sure he'd make the team. So why are we're giving too much credit to him? Jarius Wright can make a big play here and now, and then, but can he be consistent? Can he be a 1,000-yard receiver? Hell no. There is not a 1,000-yard receiver on this roster. Kyle Rudolph can have a good season, did have a good season in the Christian Ponder days. Will make some plays, but there's not a consistent threat on the outside for Teddy Bridgewater to go to when they stack the box. I don't trust Mike Wallace. Charles Johnson and Jarius Wright are too inconsistent for me. They're not talented enough, frankly, to me. When you're going up against defenses that you're going to have to face, the Green Bay Packers secondary that has improved. I'm not sure if the Seahawks are on your schedule, but if they are, good luck against that secondary or any other good secondary that you may face. Let's get to the offensive line, okay? John Sullivan, Brandon Fusco, Phil Loadholt. Okay, good. Those are 3 good interior, and then Phil Loadholt, exterior offensive linemen to have. Left side, we have a problem. You have David Yankee out of Stanford, and then you have Matt Khalil out of USC, who has gone down. And his play has downgraded over the past couple years. I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, he was what happened to Matt Khalil, who looked like he was going to be a premier left tackle. He looked great after his first season. Now you're wondering, why are we keeping this guy? But you kind of planned for it, okay? You have Tyrus Thomas and TJ Clemmings as two guys that you drafted that could, challenge for him, and hopefully they do. And I see TJ Clemmings, they're playing him at guard a little bit. Keep experimenting, solidify the left side of this offensive line, because I don't like what I see. Maybe Davey Yankee's good, maybe he's great, but I haven't seen anything from him yet in this league. Maybe college football I saw something from him, but why has he not done anything up to this point? So we'll see what happens there. So let's look at the toughness of the schedule before I make any win-loss predictions. The schedule is tough, guys. This is a tough schedule Minnesota Vikings are finding themselves facing as they go up against the NFC West, including trips to San Francisco and to Arizona. Those are tough games. And then you host Seattle, who isn't a great road team by any standards, but that's a tough game. So you guys do face Seattle. Yeah, going up against our Seattle secondary, that's going to be tough to put up points. They're going to clog your run game, and then good luck throwing the ball. Especially with Matt Khalil. Who knows what you're going to get from him? Obviously, you guys in the NFC South, including trips to Chicago, to Detroit, and Green Bay. You're facing the AFC West, trips to Denver. Oakland you'll beat, but trip there. Hosting San Diego, hosting Kansas City. The easy games, you can look at a game, you're like 100%, we will win this game. There's an easy game. I'd say when you host St. Louis, maybe when you go to Chicago, you go to Oakland. Besides that, and maybe when you host the Giants and host the Bears too, there's only 5 games. I'm like, yeah, you guys are going to win. Any other game is either a toss-up or a good luck. When you go to Denver, when you go to Green Bay, when you host Seattle, I'm like, good luck. This is a difficult schedule. And because of that, I'm picking them to go 9-7. I know this is a big, everyone expecting them to win 10 plus games, and I understand. I say 9-7, but with that said, on my NFC playoffs that I bracketed, that is good enough for the Vikings to contend to the playoffs and possibly get in. I do have them getting in. So I do have the Minnesota Vikings making the playoffs, but it's going to be a tough road, and they're going to be either a game in or a game out. I mean, that's how close it's going to be with this tough schedule they have. Nothing's going to be easier. They're not going to go 11-5. They're not going to go 7-9. They're going to be in that middle range. Close. Did they get there? Did they not? If they got in, it was close. If they didn't, it was close. That's the type of range that we're talking about. And you still need to see this offense gel together with the Adrian Peterson mix in there. I know it sounds great. It sounds easy. It's still a young team. Well, the key players are young. And they still need to grow and learn how to win together. Win close games. Win tough games. Go to Green Bay. Go to Denver. Go to these difficult places and win and be successful there. So again, 9-7. I think that will be good enough for a wild card. But I don't know how that's going to shake up, how the tiebreaker is going to shake up, because I have the Giants competing for that wild card spot. I have the Falcons and Saints tying for the NFC South, so one of them I think are going to get a wild card spot. It's going to get murky. It's going to get tough. So I don't want to come out and say, yeah, the Vikings are a playoff team, because they could be the exact same record as a 6th seed, but be out because of a stupid tiebreaker. So I'm not going to proclaim, yes, the Vikings are a playoff team. They're playoff caliber. But will the tiebreakers shake out? Because I don't think they're going to go far away, run away with a playoff spot. I don't project it. And the Lions are going to be there too. I know they lost in Ndamukong Suh, but they did get a Haloti Ngata, and Calvin Johnson didn't play much, and now he's going to play. So look out for them. I mean, it's going to get murky, but they're playoff caliber, and we'll see what they can do. Until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.